Hey everyone, I'm John Lynn, the founder of Sway.Health, and we're excited to bring you the latest insights and perspectives from those working in the world of healthcare marketing. And our guest today is Michael Hennessy Jr. He's president and CEO at MJH Life Sciences. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you having me here today.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. I appreciate MJH supporting the Sway Health community, sponsoring Sway Health Live this year, and a nice start to the partnership between Sway Health and MJH Life Sciences. But for those who don't know you and your organization, tell us a little bit about yourself and MJH Life Sciences.
Yeah, I'm Mike Hennessy Jr., as you mentioned, president and CEO here at MJH Life Sciences. Been in the family business now for going on 15 years and became CEO about 5 years ago this October. So, the family business got started as a medical publication for the oncologist as well as a primary care physician. And over the course of the 15 years, we've seen quite a bit of evolution. I kind of say we're in the fourth chapter of MJH, going from a traditional medical publisher into more of that medical media type of organization, into a medcoms, and today more medical data centric. So it's been a fun ride. I think over the 15 years, it's gone by extremely quick. But I think the biggest thing for us has been that constant evolution and kind of keeping up with the times as things are evolving and rapidly changing around us.
Yeah. Before we dive in, I want to talk about some conferences, some publishing, the evolution there. But it's interesting because you're right. You do have this evolution into comms, into, data. How do you balance kind of conferences, publications, comms, data? Sometimes those are conflicting, sometimes they're mutually beneficial. How do you approach kind of balancing all of those business areas?
Yeah, it's a great question. And as you mentioned, just with conferences in and of itself, I never thought we would be predominantly a conference type of business. But today, as I sit here, it's, more than 40% of what we do year in and year out, and it continues to grow. But I think as you look at the different arms of the business, everything is centered around kind of like two key principles, and it's the content that we produce as well as the relationships that we have. And the relationships go across all those healthcare professionals, the movers, the shakers, the influencers. The influencers today is probably more important than it was 10 years ago, that when we started the conferences themselves. But it always comes down to just the content and the relationships across any arm of the business. And I think that's what has helped us stay centered. And then more importantly, it's making sure that we stay fair balance, not crossing any editorial integrity lines, and delivering whatever that content is, whether good or bad, for pharmaceutical or biotech partner.
Interesting. So let's dive into conferences. What do you think is the kind of the current state of healthcare conferences from your perspective? Are they dying? Are they thriving? What do you see?
Probably depends on the day you ask me, but my answer today, conferences are thriving. That would be my general kind of headline here. The fact that you're seeing a new one pop up, feels like every hour of every day, shows the importance of being able to have that live human connection. You go through, the pre-COVID times, and I think we were at like a definitely boom period with conferences, and then all of a sudden you hit COVID, and we're in this virtual type of world, and it's taken us a little bit of time to get out of that. But I feel here in 2024, we as an organization have certainly seen that shift out of that virtual type of world back into the in-person meetings. But with that being said, we're seeing some of the meetings really thrive that we've produced, and then some of them struggling a little bit, and keeping a close eye on the ones that struggle to say, okay, are we being unique? Do we have the right speakers? Is it the right venue? And just some of the different formulaic things that can make us stand out is really important for us as an organization as we continue to enhance our conference strategy headed into 2025 and beyond.
Yeah. I would describe it as people have kind of said, yeah, I want to be back at a conference, but I've readjusted which conferences provide me value and which ones don't. And so, there's kind of almost a weeding of the wheat from the tares, if you will, to use that reference. But, it's interesting that virtual events took off during COVID for obvious reasons. Why haven't they continued? At least that's been my experience. Maybe you have a different one. What do you think like can't be replicated virtually that you really get in the in-person conferences?
The power of human connection, I think, is more important now than it ever has been. Just in my lifetime, having those years now that you were stuck behind the screen has been, relatively brutal, and a lot of the day-to-day interaction is just like this. I also feel that our attention span has gotten shorter and shorter and
Mm.
shorter. So to sit there for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, and usually 30 minutes is like the smallest amount of time I've seen anyone try to encounter these virtual type of events. People just aren't as actively engaged and pulled into conversation. A lot of these virtual meetings is just very didactic and doesn't pull the users in. So, a lot of people might be attending, but they'll have their screen off and they'll be, rinsing the dishes and stuff that's not advantageous for our partners.
Yeah, it is such an interesting balance because we can Netflix and chill for 6 hours, have to hit the button that says, yes, I'm still watching. But if we were to do a 1 hour webinar on healthcare technology, yeah, I probably am out, right? But maybe that's the trouble is we are competing with Netflix, for their time. And to be fair, Netflix does a great job creating entertaining content, and a lot of the healthcare B2B content isn't very it's not, can it even be as entertaining? Maybe is a reasonable question. Um, you know, as you look at conferences going forward, what does it take for a conference to be successful? How do you need to continue to evolve that and make sure that you're providing the value that, someone expects when they attend the conference?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one of the themes for the organization that we adopted was this dare to be different. And when we look at our conferences as a whole, is it the same old agenda that we're rolling out year in and year out? And if that's a yes is the answer to that, we don't want to be doing that. Change up the format a little bit, have multiple speakers up there and have them have free flowing conversation versus just presenting information. Have it at locations that are a little bit outside the box. We actually did one location down in Louisville that was at distillery. That
Mm,
brought people's attention. Like, I just wanted to check out the distillery. Obviously, you're still getting that live human connection, but you just need to do things a little bit more outside the box. Allow those breaks. I think the opportunity to have the human connection is just what people are seeking when they go to these conferences. And then the opportunity to engage the thought leaders themselves is something that we have found a ton of value in with the meeting formats that we've run.
yeah. It's how do you drive that engagement? I think there are certain conferences where learning is a big part of it, but the majority of conferences that I attend, it's about the learning from peer connection, which is tough to put on stage, right? You have to facilitate it another way. Interesting. Let's shift gears to kind of more of the publication side of things and publishing. AI is all the buzz. ChatGPT is going to replace all the journalists. It's going to replace all of us and everything that we do ever. Yeah, I mean, if we were reading the news media, that's kind of what we get. But what's your view on kind of will AI replace your editors and kind of become the content creators instead of your editors?
I was meeting with one of my editors yesterday, and we were talking just a little bit about AI as a whole. And could it replace editors? Sure. We're seeing some of the big consumer oriented leaders from a publication perspective go in that direction.
Yeah.
Do I think it's the right call? No. Why do I not think it's the right call? More so because of the fact that, yeah, you could spit out, especially in my world, a regurgitation of a data readout. But where we've kind of found our bread and butter is the opportunity to connect again with the thought leaders themselves, to get their commentary, to get their pull through on what makes them a little bit more unique and different. Or what makes that trial more unique and different, I should say. So that's how our content team is pulling forth this. And I think that's the importance of making us different than everybody else out there. So I don't see it necessarily going away. But I know the consumer world has a completely different view on it. Also, Google, I think, has a different view on it. Google's put algorithms in place that are tracking AI content. I believe they actually use an AI algorithmic formula to figure out what content was written by AI, which is unique. So that'll
So
hurt
your
you from certain.
AI content will be read by the AI of the Google AI, which will identify the AI, which
Exactly. It's as confusing as it gets, so they try to just dissuade you from utilizing it. So it won't help you with SEO, won't help you with SEM, but they're allowed to use it.
yeah. Uh, I heard someone say, "Yeah, I created some original content, and the AI engine thought it was AI." That was used. But it's going to be a challenge either way. Are there ways you are using AI? What are some of the impacts of AI on your publications, or maybe even your conferences? Are you using AI to kind of accelerate what you're doing and the speed of what you're creating?
I think the biggest thing would be around like pre-conference planning as a whole. So like making
Mm,
sure that our team is up to speed. So when they are going into conferences, knowing that these are the 20, 25, 30 biggest data readouts from that. And then here is a snippet of information that they need so that then when they're conducting the interviews with the thought leaders, they're pretty well prepared. So it's kind of sped up our preparation for a lot of the interviews that we've been able to produce, as well as even just some of the article summaries that we've been able to produce, where it can give you readouts of what's happened in the space over the last 5, 10 years. So it's definitely helped us be quicker in terms of our go-to-market strategy.
Interesting. Yeah, we've used that a lot where we actually feed in the transcript of a video we've done or a podcast we've done and then say, give us a summary. That way it's not creating stuff. It's just it's using the content you've already created. So
Yeah.
powerful way.
Yeah, it's unique too. Like I always say to the team, like you're bringing on like a junior editor. You got to teach the AI system the same way you would teach them the ropes. And we've been able to utilize that similar to you, like with the transcriptions. Early on, wasn't perfect. It's gotten better and better over the course of time.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about. I've never thought, and maybe this is the mindset shift that we all have to go through, which is I've never asked AI, hey, what would be my pre-conference planning? And I'm sure it would give me a list, and some of them would be crap, right? And some of the things would be obvious. But for ideation, I bet it would be great. Like, oh, I never thought before a conference I should do XYZ, right? Like that actually could be a great ideator. How many of us use it that way though, right? It's not our normal way of thinking, especially those of us that go to 50 conferences a year.
Yeah, no, it's been a great tool. It's something I think we can use a lot more of or utilizing on the back end for like data capture. And I think as we all go forward, it's something we need to continue to embrace and push across, just medicine as a whole. And I think where we'll see probably the biggest advancement, hopefully within the next 5 years, is just around clinical trials as well.
Mm, yeah, no, there's a lot of places AI can be applied to clinical trials. Yeah, I was on stage with the CIO or CTO, I forget, from one of the pharma companies, and he talked about all the documentation they have to do and how AI can do all that monotonous documentation. Amazing, right?
It's
Um,
fantastic.
I was talking to one of my advertisers just right before we got on to record, and he said, "Yeah, I'm on the video bandwagon because all the AI drivel that people are putting out as text. The video can become more authentic. Of course, there's AI video coming, so we'll see how that evolves. But he definitely saw the authenticity of video as a way to do it. Interestingly, it also calls back to your comments about conferences and the opportunity to connect one to one. If you're face to face with someone, there's no way I filter in the way. So maybe that, conferences become more valuable, right?
I hope we all hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some other trends that you're kind of keeping an eye on, in the conference media publishing space?
I mean, we just touched upon, I think the biggest thing in the world from a AI perspective. The other thing at the jump we talked about was just the utilization of data. More precision type of marketing is something we're seeing a lot more of our customers utilizing. So being able to assist them and really push in that direction is something us as an organization has been focused on much of the last year. And over the next 2, 3 years, I think it'll continue to, or we will continue to refine our approach. The biggest thing that we've seen just in our industry is, more and more data partners popping up. So I think that'll help us kind of continue to be more well informed in terms of the direction that we go. But data, I think, is going to be critical, not just our industry and any industry going forward.
Yeah. Never enough data, right? That's the new
Much.
mantra in marketing, I think. Well,
It's
Mike, this is a lot of fun. I appreciate you taking time to talk with us and share some perspectives on what's happening with conferences, with publications, and the work you do at MJH Life Sciences. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. If you want to find more healthcare marketing content like this, be sure to check it out at Sway. That's Sway with two A's, .health. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.